Here we have a Marshall Origin 20, and the problem description is: check for weird noise, low frequency, when it is on for a while. Well, no need to even power it on. You see these EL34s here? And all these little flecks here? These are on the inside of the glass, not the outside of the glass. What that is metal that used to be on the plates of these tubes. So these two EL34s are toast. The issue is whether both tubes just decided to flake like that, or whether something inside the amp is abusing these tubes, if there's a failure mode, which would kill a new pair of EL34s. So I'm going to put these to the side and take a look inside before I just put some new 34s in here, because we don't want to feed 34s to a hungry beast of an error. All right, the last Origin 20 that came in, R7 here, was toasted because there is more wattage, more voltage and power dissipation across this resistor than this resistor is rated for. So I'm going to measure that, bump that up to like a 3 or 5 watt. But I think the problem here is this cathode resistor here for the two output tubes is 5 watt, 150 ohm. I can move it physically in its solder joints. Those solder joints are broken. I'm going to try to repair that by resoldering from the top so I don't have to pull the board, because it's always nice on an amp at this price point to keep the repair as low as possible without sacrificing the quality of the repair. It would be best to pull the board and do all that from the other side, but I think in this case it will be acceptable to do kind of a cheat. So let me move this out of the way and do that, and then I will put in a test pair of 34s, a potentially sacrificial pair, and see what the operating conditions of the amp are. All right, so resoldered that, and this, and this. This end was broken, and that would have been intermittently arcing, causing the tubes to bias and then not bias, and bias and then not bias, and just, that's a bad scene. And while I was in there, I tamped down these screen grid resistors. Now, I removed R7, verified it is still good. It is, but I'm going to replace it. It's a 150 ohm resistor. I don't have a 3 or 5 watt resistor right now. I'll order one. It's $1. And since this one is criminally underrated for the current present, this resistor takes the place of a choke in this amp. On other Marshalls with a similar resistor with the same output, this would be a 5 watt resistor. So, you know, it is what it is and it is what it ain't. But now the amp is sounding normal for one of these. Which is not a Marshall-y kind of thing, but, you know, I guess everything has its use. Let me turn it up a little bit. And including that wonderful thing where you turn the master volume down and the whole thing cleans up. That probably clipped the lav mic. When I get this thing done, which is really just 150 ohm resistor away as far as I can tell, I'll do another real mic test of this. People hate what I had to say about the previous Origin 20. They're like, oh man, you know, you don't know, you've never used a Marshall before, or you just don't know how to dial it in, or that one must be operating wrong, or you bought a dud. Because people don't pay attention. I didn't buy this. I fix amps. Have ever played a Marshall before? More than most guys, more than most of many different decades. And I know how to dial them in. And anyone who does amp design can read the schematic for this and say, yes, this is exactly what this amp will sound like. This is exactly what this amp will do. And what it won't do is sound like a Marshall Plexi, which is what the cosmetics and the marketing lead you to. And that's just the way of the world these days, just the way of the world. So I think the root cause of him losing a pair of output tubes was broken solder joints, because this is a fairly high mass component, does not have great physical connections, no mechanical connection to the board, really, and then it's just wave soldered with not the very best lead-free solder. And that's just a recipe for this to happen. This is what happens on most modern Marshalls made since, 95 or so. And, if you don't believe me, that's fine. Go watch funny cat videos.